I didn't kill anyone. It's karma. Shoko Asahara, leader and self-proclaimed god of the cult Aum Shinrikyo.
Chemical weapon, nerve gas.
Gas attack on the Tokyo.
Gas attack on the Tokyo subway system.
By the end, 13 people are dead.
Doomsday cult in Japan.
Shoko Asahara.
7 years later, more than 180 cult members were arrested, 13 were sentenced to death. Morning, March 20th, 1995, Tokyo. Millions of people rush to work. Every day, 6.5 million ride the Tokyo metro. No one realizes this day will be their last. The moment families lose loved ones, all because of religious fanatics. Nobody could have imagined they'd become victims of a terrorist attack that would shake not just Japan, but the entire world. At Kasumigaseki Station, there's a smell of metal and something oddly sweet. Seconds later, the air itself becomes poison.
I was leaning against somewhere like here.
For the first time since World War II, Japan faces a weapon of mass destruction. But this time, it wasn't built by soldiers, it was the revenge of a god on Earth. 13 dead, over 6,000 injured. Doctors collapse beside the people they're trying to save, working without protection. A city once known for order and precision descends into pure chaos, and somewhere across Tokyo, Asahara is meditating. He smiles. He believes the final war between good and evil has begun. This is Chizuo Matsumoto, and if you think he's just another random fanatic surrounded by a bunch of lost people, you're dead wrong. Chizuo Matsumoto was God, a god who demanded absolute obedience, a god who demanded sacrifice. The real mystery behind how this cult became so powerful lies in who its followers were. Usually cults attract people from the fringes, the broken, the desperate, those looking for meaning and chaos, people craving power, willing to trade freedom for the illusion of control. But Aum Shinrikyo was different. Its believers weren't drifters, they were graduates of Japan's top universities. Engineers, programmers, physicists, chemists, even doctors. That's what made the group so dangerous. They built a system, a whole new society inside Japan. Most cults are chaotic. Aum Shinrikyo was a well-oiled machine.
関係はあるんですか？
密接な関係がありますね。2つ今日理論を紹介するつもりでいるんですけど。
In a minute, we'll dive into how Shoko Asahara built his empire of evil. We'll go inside the organization, uncover the motives of its followers, and expose the secret rituals and crimes. But first, let's talk about the man himself. Meet the future god, Shoko Asahara. Real name, Chizuo Matsumoto. Born March 2nd, 1955, Kumamoto Prefecture, southern Japan. He came from a poor family of tatami craftsmen. The fourth son. Born blind in one eye, barely seeing with the other. At 6, his parents sent him to a school for the blind. He never lived with his family again. Even in a world of the blind, Shoko learned early, the one who sees rules. Matsumoto became a bully and a manipulator. He made the weaker kids obey him, beat them, extorted money, and learned the power of control. Behind the violence, ambition was growing. He started believing he was special. He sharpened his talent for manipulation, and it never failed him. Those who disobeyed paid the price. In 1973, he finished the blind school and tried to enter Tokyo University, but was rejected. So he took another path, acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. By 1975, he'd opened a small herbal shop near Tokyo. Then in 1981, he was arrested for selling illegal drugs. The fine, 200,000 yen. It seemed like a small incident, but that's when something snapped inside him. He stopped chasing money and started chasing power. Matsumoto dives deep into astrology, Taoism, Western occultism, yoga, Buddhism, and Christian mysticism. He grows a beard, takes a new name, Shoko Asahara. In 1984, he travels to India and meets the Dalai Lama. For most people, meeting a spiritual leader is a blessing, a moment of peace. But for Asahara, it was something else. He saw how people worshipped another human being. He saw their trembling devotion. And in that moment, he understood one thing: how to become a god. Shoko Asahara came back a different man. He declared, "I have reached enlightenment. I have seen Shiva. I have been chosen to save humanity from evil."
生きてるということはもうすでに死の概念を叩き込んだとしても
He called himself Sunshi, the guru. In his pamphlets, he claimed he could levitate using the power of thought. Japanese magazines even published photos: a bearded man in lotus pose, eyes closed, body floating above the ground. Most people saw him as a ridiculous wannabe messiah, a crazy guy playing God. But the guru was no fool. Within just a few years, he'd build the most terrifying cult in Japan's history, and thousands would be ready to die to fulfill his will. Psychiatrists who studied Asahara during his trial pointed out a few defining traits: narcissism and megalomania. He saw himself as the Messiah, uniting Buddha, Christ, and Shiva. He claimed he alone decided humanity's fate. Paranoia and apocalypse thinking. He believed a secret world government was preparing a nuclear war and only his cult could save Earth. Cold calculation and strategy. He built a full-blown hierarchy, ministers, departments, an army, even labs. Sadistic control. He ruled his followers through fear, punishments, and purifications through pain. Messianic charisma. He spoke softly with hypnotic pauses.
It's very different from the ordinary world.
Do you want to stay here?
I would like to stay here. That means I would like to stay near Master.
In person, people described feeling a kind of energy pressure from him. But here's the question: how did he manage to build such an insane cult in one of the most high-tech nations on Earth? Because Shoko Asahara understood his society. He saw how Japan's rapid technological growth collided with deep spiritual emptiness. He understood the mentality of his people. For one, the crisis of meaning. Japan in the 80s was rich, but emotionally hollow.
来るべきものが来てるんじゃないでしょうか。人間の物質的豊かさというものがピークに達して。
Second, elitism. Asahara didn't promise heaven, he promised a special forces unit of the enlightened. Third, rational fanaticism. The cult ran like a corporation: reports, labs, ministries. Fourth, pseudoscience. Spiritual experiments wrapped in the language of quantum physics and DNA. Fifth, personal burnout. Young men crushed by the systems saw in Asahara a way to rebel through enlightenment. Shoko Asahara fused mysticism with technology. He explained meditation as quantum transformation. He claimed his practices could literally rewrite human DNA. He promised transcendence, to become superhuman. The price? Total obedience. Hideo Murai was the head of the Ministry of Science. He was responsible for developing the chemical weapons later used in the attacks. From a young age, Murai was a genius. In school, he was top of the class in physics and dreamed of a career in astronomy. He trained as an astrophysicist and worked on research projects studying cosmic radiation. Obsessed with his work, he reportedly put in up to 20-hour days, believing that science is the religion of the mind. Yoshihiro Inoue headed the Ministry of Intelligence. He was in charge of espionage and abductions. Under his control were wiretapping phones, surveillance of members, kidnapping of defectors, internal interrogations and torture, and collecting information on police and media. Ikuo Hayashi served as Minister of Medicine, one of the most controversial figures in Aum Shinrikyo. Hayashi was not a street fanatic, but a highly skilled cardiologist, an intellectual who consciously chose to follow Asahara. He was responsible for human experiments, medical examinations, and purification therapies, monitored patients after long meditations and fasts, took part in experiments with psychoactive substances and neurostimulation, like helmets with electrodes and drugs. He also participated in transmission of spiritual energy, essentially blood rituals involving Asahara. Kiyohide Hayakawa became Minister of Finance. He oversaw investments in foreign deals, including operations involving Russia. Yes, Russia. The claim here is that Russian security services, or the FSB, adopted tactics from their Soviet predecessors, allegedly funding fringe groups abroad as a lever of influence. If you want to influence a country, destabilizing it from within is one route. Project Doomsday. In early 1993, Hayakawa arranged the purchase of a 200,000-acre ranch in Western Australia. Officially, a meditation farm. In reality, it was a testing ground. Experiments with VX gas and anthrax were conducted there. They even searched the property for uranium ore. The goal was to create a nuclear device Asahara called the weapon to purify the Earth. Australian police later found dead animals killed by toxins and documents related to chemical weapon production. Everything looked like a corporation run by a charismatic CEO, except instead of KPIs, it was karma, and instead of paychecks, it was enlightenment. So, what was the point? Why build a structure with perfect obedience, terrorize followers, and test weapons of mass destruction? Maybe it was just vanity. Sure, that played a role. Shoko Asahara basked in fame. He loved being on TV, he enjoyed the attention, the women who were part of his divine circle, but that wasn't the main aim. Money? Too small a thing for a Japanese god. Money was only a tool for a larger goal. What happened is what happens to people given unchecked power inside a closed group. Asahara began to believe he really was God. And if you're God, you can and must mete out justice. The cult didn't just have a faith. It had a mission spelled out by Asahara himself: to create a new world by destroying the old one. Wipe out the impure world and build a new kingdom of truth, ruled by the enlightened under Asahara's authority. Japan was the only country to ever experience the actual use of an atomic weapon in war. That trauma left a mark on the national psyche, something horrific and, to Asahara, strangely hypnotic. He set a goal: acquire that kind of weapon and purify the planet with it. Build a new world where Asahara's rule would be absolute and perfect. To his followers, he promised a place in that new world, not just survival, but an upgraded quality of life and a higher status. Asahara preached that a coming world war would wipe out humanity, and that Japan would be the battlefield between East and West. He said the US and Jewish elites were plotting an atomic karma, and only Aum Shinrikyo could cleanse the planet. This is classic enemy propaganda. The same kind of narrative used by Goebbels in Nazi Germany, echoed on modern propaganda outlets, and found in regimes that build fear of external foes. We have enemies, but only I can save us. I am the emperor of a new world. When the old one dies, Aum Shinrikyo will be the only light. Shoko Asahara. The cult believed that saving humanity was possible only through technology and mind control. So, they built labs to produce sarin, VX, and anthrax. They developed enlightenment devices, electric helmets, and meditation capsules. And they carried out experiments in psychological manipulation. Asahara dreamed of a world in which all minds are joined into one energy, and every person is subject to the enlightened leader. To save the soul, the body must be destroyed. Shoko Asahara. That principle became the justification for murder. Anyone who interfered with the cult was declared karmically dead. That's how they killed lawyer Tsutsumi Sakamoto and his family in 1989, defectors and former members, and ultimately the victims of the 1995 Tokyo subway attack, which Asahara believed would trigger worldwide chaos and purify Japan. March 20th, 1995. The single largest terrorist attack in Japan's history. At the Aum Shinrikyo headquarters outside Tokyo, Shoko Asahara gathers his ministers. His voice is calm. Today, the cleansing begins. The old world must die. 5 volunteers received the same order: blow up the heart of Japan, the Tokyo subway. Each was given a package of liquid sarin, 900 milliliters each, a lethal dose for thousands, a newspaper and an umbrella with a sharpened tip to pierce the bag, and tickets for different subway lines converging on the government district Kasumigaseki. At 7:30, Tokyo wakes up. It was Monday rush hour, over 8 million people commuting to work. The city hummed. For millions, it was just another day. At 7:45 to 8, 5 death routes were chosen. The cult aimed to hit as many people as possible. Ikuo Hayashi took the Chiyoda line. He boarded a train bound for Kasumigaseki. A minute later, the first screams, people began to fall, clutching their eyes and throats. Kenichi Hiroshi took the Marunouchi line, and within a few stops, dozens of passengers were incapacitated. Masami Tsutumi took the Hibiya line. He was a chemist who helped produce the sarin, and in his car the poison spread especially fast. The ventilation pulled the vapors through the entire train. Toru Toyota took the Marunouchi line on an alternate route. He carried out the order to the letter and walked away calmly. Later at the trial, he said, "I thought I was purifying karma. I felt no fear." Yasuo Hayashi took the Hibiya line on a duplicate route. This was the most brutal of the 5. He punctured 3 bags in a row to increase the effect. His train became the deadliest. 8 killed, hundreds poisoned. From 8:10 to 9 a.m., it was hell underground. People collapsed right in the cars, eyes glassy, foam at the mouth. Train drivers reported unknown smoke, but nobody understood what was happening. Sarin is colorless, odorless. It blocks nerve signals, and a person stops breathing and the heart fails. At stations, there was panic, thousands rushing to the surface. Doctors and police, unaware it was sarin, helped without protection and were poisoned too. From 9 to 10 a.m., Tokyo was paralyzed. The subway was stopped, the city center was locked down, more than 5,000 people were hospitalized. 13 were dead immediately. Several more later died from complications. And police began to receive first eyewitness reports about suspicious men with umbrellas. At 11 a.m., the government responds. The transport minister appears on TV saying, "This is an unprecedented attack. Japan has been attacked from within." The authorities suspect Aum Shinrikyo. Their labs were already under investigation. Over 100,000 people were evacuated from the subway. This was the first successful chemical attack on a civilian population in history. Armageddon is coming. Only Aum knows the truth. We must cleanse the earth of evil, even if we have to kill. Shoko Asahara. The attack was framed as an act of karmic purification, killing the sleeping masses for the enlightenment of the chosen. For Asahara, it was a sacrifice in the name of a new world. After the March 20th, 1995 attack, Japan launched the largest police operation in its history. More than 200 Aum members were arrested, including nearly all the ministers and Asahara himself. The trials dragged on for decades. The court cases became known as the Aum Shinrikyo trials. In April 1995, police raid the Aum HQ in Kamikawa-uchi. By May 1995, Asahara is arrested, found hiding in a secret room beneath the floor. All the invincible and immortal types always hide like cowards. In total, 13 people were hanged, and over 180 received prison terms ranging from several years to life. A talented man who convinced himself he was a god ended up an ordinary defendant, dying ignominiously. That's what happens to anyone who decides their life matters more than everyone else's.